I want you to get something out to write with or get your phone ready to take pictures of these screens, because I'm telling you, these biblical principles work in de-escalating our anger and often the frustrations and anger in another. So here's the first point we need to remember is we need to, when we're getting upset and frustrated, we need to lower our voice and our speed of speaking. We need to lower our voice and we need to slow down the speed in which we're speaking. Here's how Scripture says it, Proverbs 15:1. It says, a gentle response, that means you lower your voice, it deflects fury. It reduces frustration and anger. But a harsh word, a loud word, it makes tempers rise. And we all know that. We all know that if one person raises their voice, often the other person raises their voice. If I yell, then somebody else yells. And so God says, hey, when you're starting to get frustrated and angry, just lower your voice. Lower the pace of your speaking and the volume of your voice. And when you do that, you know whose anger it works on first? It works on yours. It works on mine. It helps us to calm down even if the person we're dealing with is not being as calm. It's super powerful. And so a gentle response can lower frustration and anger. Now, this is the exact opposite of what we do when we're angry. We don't want to, lower our voice and speak slower. We want to speak faster and louder. And so you really have to call on God to make this happen. You have to consciously think about it. But I'm telling you, when I lower my voice when I'm getting frustrated and I start to speak slower, it is powerful. It is so powerful. Now, the reason why this is so powerful is because it affects a part of our brain. Now, I want to show you how our brains get impacted when we lower the volumes of our voice and we speak slower. Take a look up on the screen. So at the top of our brains, we have the prefrontal cortex, and this is the part of our brains that is responsible for thinking that is rational. It's reasonable. When we are thinking in the prefrontal cortex, we are able to strategize. In other words, we can solve conflicts better. We're able to plan and think more clearly. They call this area of thinking the higher level of thinking. Now watch this. When we start to get fearful or afraid, or we start to get angry, our thinking shifts from the prefrontal cortex and it goes down here to the limbic system. This is on top of the brainstem. And when we are thinking here, we are not thinking on a higher level of thinking. We are thinking more reactively. We're thinking more instinctually. We're thinking more defensively. We're thinking more protectively. We're not thinking more strategically. We're thinking more emotionally. When we start to yell, we drop down from here to here, and it just makes problems more difficult to solve. I guess you could say it this way. When we start to raise our voice and our speed of speaking, here's what happens. The more I raise my voice, the more I lower my intelligence. That's what the brain science shows us. In other words, you could say this another way. The more I raise my voice, the dumber I get. And we can all attest that when we've raised our voice, we've yelled and we've moved into that limbic part of our brain where it's emotional. We are not as rational. We are not as reasonable. We can just be more difficult, and it's harder to solve conflicts. So you might want to write this down. I am never persuasive when I'm abrasive. Here's another way to say it. I can't get my point across when I'm being cross. We need to, when we get upset, we need to lower the volume of our voice and the speed in which we're speaking. Take a look at what Ecclesiastes says. It says, the calm words of the wise, they're heeded. In other words, the more we speak softly and slower, the more our words are listened to. More than when we start shouting like a ruler among fools. And so, the next time you start to get frustrated, somebody just has a completely different opinion than you, and it makes you kind of mad inside, just lower your voice and your speed of speaking.